Marcus Webb had been mopping the floors of Pinnacle Corp for 3 years. Every morning at 5 a.m., he arrived before anyone else. Before the executives in their tailored suits, before the receptionists in their polished heels, before the security guards who barely acknowledged his existence. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? He came early because he had no choice. His 7-year-old daughter, Lily, needed to be dropped at school by 7:45, and his entire schedule was built around her. Marcus was everything to Lily, her father, her mother, her whole world. Her mom had walked out when Lily was just 2, leaving behind nothing but a note and a mountain of bills. Marcus never complained. He scrubbed, he mopped, he polished, and he smiled, because at the end of every long day, a little girl with pigtails ran into his arms and called him Daddy. Pinnacle Corp was one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the country, led by its fierce, brilliant, and somewhat terrifying CEO, Alexandra Holt. At just 34, Alexandra had built a billion-dollar empire from a single laptop and a dream. She was sharp, ruthless, and deeply respected, but not exactly known for warmth. She worked 18-hour days, expected perfection from everyone around her, and rarely noticed the people who kept her building clean and running. She had never once looked Marcus in the eye. On a cold Tuesday morning in November, Alexandra was working late, later than usual. The building was nearly empty. The cleaning crew had mostly gone home, except for Marcus, who was finishing the executive floor. He heard a strange sound from the CEO's office, a crash, followed by silence. Most people would have knocked, announced themselves, and waited. Marcus pushed the door open immediately. What he saw stopped his heart. Alexandra was on the floor, her face pale, her lips turning blue, her hands clutching her throat. She was choking, a piece of food lodged deep, blocking her airway completely. She had been eating alone at her desk, working through dinner as she always did, and no one was around. No assistant, no security, no one, except Marcus. He didn't freeze. He didn't panic. 3 years ago, he had taken a first aid course at the community center, not because he thought he'd ever need it, but because as a single dad, he believed in being prepared for anything. He dropped his mop, crossed the room in 4 steps, positioned himself behind Alexandra, and performed the Heimlich maneuver with firm, precise thrusts, once, twice. On the 3rd attempt, the obstruction flew free. Alexandra gasped, a long, desperate, beautiful breath of air. She collapsed forward, trembling, coughing, tears streaming down her face. Marcus steadied her, helped her to her chair, and grabbed a bottle of water from her desk. "Breathe slowly," he said quietly. "You're okay now. Take your time." For a long moment, Alexandra just breathed. Then she looked up at the man crouching beside her. This man she had never truly seen before, whose name she didn't even know, and whispered, "Thank you." Marcus nodded, picked up his mop, and went back to work. He reported the incident to his supervisor the next morning as protocol required. That was his first mistake, according to the people above him. His supervisor, a rigid and insecure man named Gerald, saw it differently. He was furious that Marcus had entered the CEO's private office without permission, that he had put his hands on an executive without authorization, and that he had failed to call security or emergency services first. The incident report became a disciplinary file. Within 48 hours, Marcus was called into HR and handed a termination letter. Unauthorized entry into a restricted area. Conduct unbecoming. He was escorted from the building with a box of his few belongings, a photo of Lily, a spare jacket, and a coffee mug she had painted for him at school. He said nothing. He walked to his car, sat in the driver's seat, and cried for 10 minutes. Then he drove to pick up Lily from school, because no matter what happened, she still needed her dad. Alexandra Holt knew nothing about the firing. She had been whisked away by her personal doctor that same night, spent a day resting at home on her physician's orders, and returned to a calendar full of meetings and decisions. It was 3 weeks later at a company town hall, when a junior employee named Priya, young, new, and apparently unaware that some things were meant to stay quiet, raised her hand and asked, "Whatever happened to the janitor who saved your life, Ms. Holt? I heard he was let go." The room went completely silent. Alexandra looked at Priya. "I'm sorry, what did you say?" Priya, now pale, repeated it. Alexandra's expression shifted not into anger, but into something far colder and far more dangerous, absolute clarity. She stood up, walked out of the hall, and went straight to HR. Within an hour, she had reviewed the entire file. Within 2 hours, she had Gerald escorted from the building. Within 3 hours, she was sitting in her car outside a small apartment complex in a quiet neighborhood, holding a folder and a letter she had written herself. Marcus opened the door in a worn hoodie, Lily peeking out from behind his leg with curious eyes. Alexandra looked at this man, really looked at him, and said, "You saved my life and I repaid you with nothing. I am sorry. I am deeply, genuinely sorry." She offered him his job back, with a significant raise and full benefits. She also offered to fund Lily's education from kindergarten through college, no conditions, no strings. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then Lily tugged his sleeve and whispered, "Daddy, she looks sad. Maybe she needs a hug." Marcus laughed, the kind of laugh that comes from somewhere deep and real, and Alexandra, the billionaire CEO who hadn't cried in years, felt her eyes fill. "I'll come back," Marcus said. "But I have one condition." Alexandra nodded. "Name it." "Learn our names," he said. "All of us. Every person who keeps your building running. We're people too." Alexandra nodded slowly. "Deal." She kept her word. "Every single day. If this story moved your heart, please take a moment to show some love. Like, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories, where we believe that the most powerful people in the world are often the ones no one notices until they save a life.